Good morning and welcome to BBOC Live, presented by DraftKings. It's 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and this is the Week 7 college football betting preview. I'm Stuckey. Joining me, as always, my fellow BBOC co-hosts, Collin Wilson, Mike Calabrese, and the one and only Josh Nunn, aka Duck. Lot to get to today. Give out our first best bet, our first of two in just a moment. We'll break down the marquee matchup of the day between Indiana and Oregon. We'll build our money line parlay. We've come so close in a bunch of weeks. Hopefully, this is the week that we hit. And then, of course, we'll have the D block with Duck to give us some FCS plays. By the way, if you want to follow along, any bets, quick slip, we'll drop the quick slip links in the chat of YouTube. Hit that like button. Would appreciate that as well. Make sure you follow along on the award-winning Action Network app to follow all of our picks, both pending and those to come throughout the day. Gentlemen, what a slate that we have. And there's great distribution. Like if you just look at the 12, the afternoon slate, the night slate. We even have Arizona State, Utah, although Jeff Sims, I don't know how he's still around. That might have put a little damper on that game. And we even have a midnight game between Utah State and Hawaii. I believe we have a play on that game at some point during the show. If you were restricted today to only watch one game, what would you choose? Calabrese, I'll start with you.
I think I'm going to go Red River. Just so much intrigue. The tortilla press guy from Chipotle breaking news that Mateer's available. Is he actually available? Will he play? The whole narrative around Arch, is this his turnaround game and his moment to kind of take control of the entire season, or is it time for them to look for a backup quarterback? So there's so much that's going to pivot on this one game and is unknown going into it, adding on to historically what's always been such a fun game in Dallas. I'm just excited for that one.
Out of all the games today, you're going to choose the one that might be the least amount of fun. Texas, Oklahoma. I don't know how many points are going to be scored in that, but yeah, it's always a good watch. I think I'm going to go with Kent State, UMass. I'm kidding, but I will be watching that game because I have money on it, sadly. I'll say Auburn, Georgia. I mean, it's Jordan Hare at night. Weird things are going to happen. I just tweeted out the link of the the prayer Jordan Hare I had Georgia plus four, fourth and long, the tip ball up in the air. Auburn ended up winning by 5. Hopefully they return the favor. Colin, are you going to go Arkansas, Tennessee? I hope not.
No, I mean Bobby Petrino's first game back. I mean, I already know what's going to happen. Arkansas is going to win, so I'm not really that interested in that. And I would say Michigan USC because I will say this: I think the winner of that game is going to go to the Big Ten championship. But the most intriguing game of the day, by far, and no one can convince me otherwise, is Indiana and Oregon because this is the Havoc Bowl. This is number one offense. Havoc allowed with Oregon going up against the number one defense and Havoc, and that is Indiana. But more importantly, Stuck, what you and I talk about on our podcast is why is there a different set of power ratings for Indiana when they face blue chip squads versus when they take on Sisters of the Poor in the Big Ten and beat the shit out of them, right? So why today is
All
a
right, Colin, I ask you one question. We're going to talk about that game. And you can't, this guy just rambles.
are they real? Is Indiana
We'll get
real?
to that. That's the marquee game. I can't wait to hear all of your thoughts. But I am really looking forward to USC Michigan. By the way, you keep saying the winner's going to the Big Ten championship. Which one of Ohio State or Oregon is going to die?
It's
Are either
always
one of
Ohio
them?
State for me. It's always Ohio State for me.
Always Ohio State to you. Penn State's going to beat Ohio State, right?
No,
All right, Duck, how about you?
Yeah, Georgia Auburn's going to be fascinating. Did Auburn fix their O-line issues? Is Georgia for real? They're clearly down a couple notches in the trenches. I'm fascinated to see what happens at Jordan Hare at night.
All right, let's get to our first best bets. And to no one's surprise, Colin is going with.
the Arkansas Razorbacks, Bobby Petrino. Yes, Stuckey and I did not bring our neck braces for this game. We're going to take them at 10.5. It's fallen to 10 right now. There's a different attitude in the locker room. There's a man in charge who is taking receipts and keeping people accountable and telling them your value in the portal right now is zero. You're worth nothing. You don't have a future. There's no sense in you getting in the portal because you're not worth anything. He's telling the defense that. Then he scrapped the playbook. Then he redesigned the playbook and he kicked all of their butts in practice this week to where all they've done is come out to the media and say, holy cow, this is a completely different team on the defensive side of the ball. I can't put that in a spreadsheet, and I can't tell you that's why this number went from 13 to 10. I can just tell you it's going to be a different Arkansas defense that we've seen this entire year. When you look at Tennessee's side, there are holes on the defense that Taylon Green and Mike Washington are going to be able to expose. Tennessee 131st in defensive finishing drives. You get past the 40, you're scoring, and that's what Taylon Green does the best. 113th against the rush. I would take a Mike Washington prop right now, who, by the way, came out in the media here locally and was like, "Oh, there's so many holes in Tennessee, I'm going to have a huge day." Like, I have not heard him with confidence say, "I'm going to have a huge day." And then also Tennessee's All-American corner, Jamar McCoy. He is out for this game, so I like Arkansas to contend here. Not sure they can win. I like them to contend. It's going to be a different day for the Hogs.
I hope I did follow. I did tell you on this, and if it loses, you will be hearing about it today on Twitter and on the Big Bets on Campus podcast. I just think that they can keep up. Like they can score. I don't know. Like I don't know what Bobby Petrino could say to make this defense any better. There is a chance that they have some new wrinkles, right? They fired the whole defensive staff, so they come out with something. We saw that before against Tennessee that Tennessee's not ready for, and they might steal a few possessions early, and that offense can score. And I don't think the Tennessee defense is elite by any stretch. So yeah, I think that they can keep this. We need a backdoor chance for sure if needed as well. Calabrese, where are you going?
I'm going up to altitude in Laramie, a 5 p.m. local kick. San Jose State, a short favorite. I'm going to lay the points with the Spartans. It's atypically warm for Laramie this time of year. We just saw it last week. There was hail and snow against UNLV. Also, the winds are going to die down in the second half of this game and get into the single digits in terms of miles per hour. And that's a huge, issue in this game because San Jose State is the second most pass happy team in the entire country. Walker Eagle's going to be able to throw it all over the yard and create plays when he's targeting Scudero downfield. Then on the other side of things, the two best perimeter options, or at least passing game options for the Pokes, Durr and Gillenborg, are both questionable in this game. If they can't play, this team is 100% one-dimensional. Toad Harris is a nice story, but he's 175 pounds soaking wet. He's not going to have 25 or 30 carries in this game. And Wyoming's offense, in terms of S&P plus 114th, I see them sliding back to being one of the worst in the entire country. So I think Ken Niumatalolo continues this turnaround. They started 1-3. This will get them to 500. I think they're a real player in the Mountain West to get to the conference title game.
Yeah, Wyoming's just they're decimated at the tight end spot across the board, which kills them because that's what they want to do. They want to play with multiple tight ends on the field, and they just don't have them right now. So it really hampers their offense. Duck, where you going?
Texas Tech minus 14 at home against Kansas. You look at this Tech defense, completely legitimate this season. 2.3 yards per carry given up on the ground. Just 26% of third down conversions against them have been successful. They're the top tackling team per PFF in Big 12 play. They have the best pass rush, the best graded stop unit overall, best coverage grades. Only 50% of pass completions against them have been completed. Just rock solid at all three levels. You look at the major data point for Kansas that they were able to keep it close against Missouri. Kind of fluky result. There was a fumble return, touchdown, and interception, which set Kansas up first and goal. But they were outgained by Missouri on the road by 340 yards. This ain't West Virginia, Cincinnati, or Central Florida this week. And Texas Tech has not played at home in a month. They're going to show up for this one. This will be a big win for Texas Tech.
Duck, I got a trivia question for you. Texas Tech, which opponent this season, remember they played Utah, has scored the most points on Texas Tech this year?
Kent.
Kent State, True the Shields, baby. All right. I'm going to go with USC tonight, laying 2.5 at home. Not sure where the line is right now. Anything under 3 is fine. I just think that the love or the hate for USC has gone too far after the game against Illinois. I mean, this was a team that was missing their stud left tackle. Now, I assume he's going to be back today, but he was limping again in practice, so I don't know. That could be big, but the rest of the offense should be healthier. I don't mind the swap at center. The defense, most importantly, should be back to a semblance of a unit. I mean, at Illinois, this is a team that had food poisoning the night before, ran through their defensive line. It held out their green dot, Kamari Ramsey, their best defensive player. They didn't know he was going to be out until 6 in the morning of game day. By the way, they were flying across country, early kick, 9 a.m. body clock. One of their other corners got hurt during the game. They were playing 2 freshmen on the outside for most of that game, and then a true freshman who never played before in the slot. They should be a much healthier. I think the hate has gone too far. I think there should be at least a field goal. USC, when fully healthy, I think has the best offense in the country. I don't think Michigan can keep up. Justice Haynes and company will have success on the ground, but I don't trust those Michigan receivers. Give me USC at home fight on. All right, let's move on to our money line parlay. Calabrese is out of the doghouse. He hit his last week, and I think it was ruined though because Duck had somebody. Um, so Calabrese, you're out of the doghouse. Colin, start us off.
Colorado here. Iowa State regression has been coming all season long. They still have injuries all over the roster. Carson Hansen's not going to be there. There's potentially a true freshman going to be doing the kicking duties here in elevation. That should be a lot of fun. Colorado also has regression coming positively for them. They finished up with a 71% post-game win expectancy in a loss to BYU by 3 points. I like Caden Salter going up against the defense of the Cyclones. It's 125th in PFF tackling, 125th in pass rush. They can't get any pressure. They can't tackle them. That's usually a Caden Salter special. So let's go with the Buffaloes.
Yeah, I think this Iowa State team is a fade. I mean, Rocco Beck can only do so much. They do not generate pressure at all, and then they're missing their two best corners. And you saw what happened last week against Cincinnati. I think this defense is in trouble for the rest of the year. It's like Dominic Orange, a good scheme, but there's not much else there right now. Calabrese, where you going?
You tried to target UNLV last week, Stuck, and I think it was the right side. They get what, two non-offensive touchdowns in that game.
Two block
UNLV
punt touchdowns.
I mean, this team is absolutely fraud. We'll see how long this win streak can go, but at north of 2-1, I'm going to take Air Force in this game. Liam Zarka is an incredible difference maker at quarterback for the Falcons. 3 straight games with 200 through the air, 100 on the ground. He could go for 4 TDs against this UNLV defense that is piss poor, 102nd in S&P plus defense. And the run game should absolutely shred the running Red Wolves because they struggle to tackle. Their 120th in rush explosives allowed and 117th in rush success on the ground. On the other side of things, Air Force, the only thing they can hang their hat on, their pass defense arguably is bottom 3 in all of FBS football, but they're not quite as bad when it comes to stopping the run. And do we get a break here? And there's no Jet Thomas for UNLV. He got the questionable tag put on him at midweek. There's been no information since that's come out, but he's their one-play touchdown man out of the backfield. You look at Air Force, they're 50th in rush success, defense 66th in tackling, and 68th in stuff rate. Like I said, nothing overly impressive, but if they can at least get UNLV into known passing down situations, maybe they can drop 8 and Calandria gives them a turnover or 2 in this game. Anything north of 2-1, I like the Falcons fly fight win.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't know how I don't know how Air Force gets a stop. Like their secondary is laughably bad. But yeah, I mean, Calandria might throw it to him a couple times, and I do think Air Force can keep up. Duck, where you going?
Ball State plus 265 on the money line. You look at Mike Yurimovich, the offense just took some time for the install to kind of get everyone adjusted to it. They looked really bad in their 2P4 roadies, but the last 3 weeks, Ball State's offense has come around. The key has been the emergence of a competent passing game with Kyle Kelly at quarterback. You look at the formula for Ball State, we just saw it last week, being able to hang around against a premier MAC team. Well, Western Michigan's offense is not really built to win by margin. They were stuck in a 7-3 slow burning grinder with UMass last week before pulling away in the fourth quarter. But the Broncos 131st in offensive success rate, 113th in preventing havoc against them. Ball State's got 15 sacks and 30 tackles for loss. They're going to come after Brock Lowry in this game. They were able to bottle up Navarro last week. I think they can do it here. Western Michigan, the second worst run defensive grades in the MAC per PFF. I just don't have this much separation between these two teams. I like Ball State against the number. I think they go in there and get the win on the road.
All right, I'm gonna keep it. I mean, taking a money line in the MAC this year is not a bad idea. There, it's gonna be chaotic. Can't wait for weekday action. I'm gonna go with Wisconsin. I'll keep it simple. I mean, this is the lowest total of the year. We don't even know who's playing quarterback. Like, this is going to be a disaster. This is maybe Wisconsin's last stand. They've had a brutal schedule to date. I thought the kid looked a little better at quarterback against Michigan, but Wisconsin's had this game circled. They've been doing like 42 push-ups after practice every day for like a year because they gave up 42 to Iowa last year, and who gives up 42 to Iowa unless you're UMass? So like the total's 35, and like there's quarterback uncertainty across the board. So yeah, give me Wisconsin. By the way, Colorado, Air Force, Ball State, Wisconsin, 60-1 at DraftKings. And before we get to the marquee matchup of the day between Indiana and Oregon, I'll toss it to myself, tell you a little bit about DraftKings. The Big Bets on Campus podcast is sponsored by DraftKings, and in partnership with DraftKings, we'd like to announce the next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. That's right. New customers turn $5 into 200 if your bet wins, paid instantly in bonus bets. To get started, use promo code BBOC when signing up. Again, that's code BBOC to get on board. The crown is yours. All right, thank you to me, I guess. Let's move on to our marquee matchup of the day between Indiana and Oregon in Eugene, 3:30 Eastern on CBS. We have the Ducks sitting, let's see, across the board. I'll call it consensus 7. Indiana's continued to take money total. Consensus, we'll call it 53 and a half. Colin, now is your time. I might cut you off at one point. I saw how much you wanted to say, but what are
Well,
your thoughts here?
this is the whole thing. Is like, are we going to consider Indiana one of these teams that can hang with the elite? Right? They have not shown it against five-star blue chip prospects when they've played them in those games. I'm taking the over. DraftKings sizes at 52 and a half. I'm going to take the over in this game for a number of reasons. Indiana did give up a bunch of rush explosives to Old Dominion and Kennesaw. Maybe they've cleaned that up. Maybe they haven't. And Oregon can absolutely cook with Jaden Lamar and De'Ara Hill. And then the Ducks were stuffed just 7 of 39 times against Penn State. I mean, that is a high functioning offense. And if they can do that against Penn State's defensive front, I think they can do it against Indiana too. You go to the other side of the ball. Fernando Mendoza is just throwing a beautiful ball right now, and he dominates quarters coverage, which is what he's going to see here. He has a 77% success rate against that. Like normal average is like 49%. He's throwing 77. And plus, Indiana runs inside zone read concepts with Roman Hemby and Kalen Black. That is pretty tough for Oregon to defend. And Oregon's defensive interior, from the rush perspective, anyways, has always been a problem annually. So I think there's going to be a lot of scoring opportunities in this game. They should convert. But overall, I like Indiana too in this game. But are they for real? Can they tackle in space? Can you tackle DeCorian Moore in space? I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I don't have anything on this game just because, like, look, Oregon, really impressive at Penn State, but is Penn State just bad? Like, is Penn State Clemson this year? Because I get that they might have been sleepwalking at UCLA, but James Franco never loses that game. And they also look bad before the Oregon game. So do I not weight that as much? I don't know. And then is Indiana a bimodal team? Like they have these peaks where they're against everybody else that they're here, but then against the teams with blue chips and 5 stars, they can only get to here because the execution can only take them so far, and they don't have the same type of bodies. Now, I think that they are bigger and stronger up front. When they played some of those teams last year, they didn't have Drew Evans at left guard, for example, and his backup was brutal. So I think Mendoza is better than Rourke. Mendoza is like an NFL prospect. So I think this Indiana team might be better than last year, but I still have questions like what happens when we'll learn a lot about Indiana. Like, is this team capable of stepping up? So I don't really have anything off the bat. Calabrese, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I think this Indiana team is absolutely better than they were last year. And rightfully so, the conversation is who they are against non-elite teams and who they are, or at least were last year, against top 10 opponents. But both those teams play for the national championship. Their game against Ohio State, basically, Ohio State doubles their yardage. They win by 23 points. Oregon also played that Ohio State team to end the season. They basically doubled up their yardage and beat them by 20 points. But no one's talking about that in terms of a fraud alert. And you look at what Oregon did as their number one data point. It's
I mean,
beating
they
Penn.
also beat Ohio State, to be fair.
Sure, yes. But looking at this Oregon team, everything's pointing to that Penn State game. That one all of a sudden gets turned on its head from a narrative perspective in 1 week. They scored 17 points in regulation. They had sub 400 total yards of offense, and UCLA goes nuts on that Penn State team. I think this is going to be a great game. I think Oregon deserves to be a home favorite, particularly at outs and how well they played under Lanning at home. But 7, I'm going to take one little piece out of that game last year against Notre Dame. They totally got outclassed in that game. But what did you notice? Signetti put his foot down on the accelerator at the end to try to get as close as possible. They missed a 2-point conversion late that would have put them within 8 points. So he's not someone who throws up the white flag. The back door is going to be open in this game, so I'll go ahead and take the points. I liked it a lot more early in the week when we were getting closer to 10, but 7 still a play for me on the Hoosiers.
Yeah, I mean, if you do value these types of things, I will say that there's legitimate big money in the market that hates Oregon. I mean, take a look. Penn State closed 3.5, 4. The week before, Northwestern got slammed game day. We're talking big limit money coming in. Oregon State got slammed game day against Oregon. And then every single week, Indiana is getting hit. Like everyone knows the final score. You saw them against Illinois just keep running out. You saw them even against Iowa keep running out. I mean, it's every week. So now you have these two teams meeting. It's no surprise that there's some real legitimate sharp money on Indiana. It doesn't mean it's going to win, but it's just noteworthy. I mean, there was some real sharp money last night on North Texas, and they lost by 50. I don't know. Duck, what are you seeing here? This is also a pass for you.
Yeah, I'm really not running to the window to bet this one. I really want to believe that Indiana can keep this game close. I am a little wigged out about the two data points we have from last season. They really didn't look good in the second half against Ohio State, and they didn't look good in the first half against Notre Dame in the process of losing those two. The good thing for Indiana, they were able to kind of wash the stink off of them with that first road game at Iowa. That operation offensively just looked a little bit different on the road. So getting that out of their system, I think, could help them here. Indiana's been elite situationally this season. Third down, 58%, 26 out of 29 in the red zone offensively. And then defensively, just one red zone touchdown given up this season. 23% of their third downs allowed have been converted successfully. 16 sacks and 49 tackles for loss for Indiana. And a defense that doesn't allow a ton of explosivity. When you look at Oregon's offense, they're absolutely at their best when they find success in early downs, get those backs in the second level in the run game, and get them out in space. Well, it hasn't been as efficient as we would like in league play against Northwestern and Penn State. We saw Oregon in battles with both of those teams for some time. I am just worried in the second half if Indiana can keep the Ducks out of third and short, and maybe Oregon's trench play wears down Indiana in the second half. This is going to be fun to watch. This is going to be a big prove it game for Indiana and Signetti, but I don't know. Nothing would surprise me here. If Oregon ends up pulling away and winning by 16, 17 points, that wouldn't really surprise me. If it's a field goal game at the end, that would also not surprise me. So I'm passing on this one, but I will be watching.
Yeah, Calabrese does bring up a valid point with Signetti, like, hey, keep this close. If it's like gets a little out of hand, let's get this margin close for the committee. So I might look at Indiana live, depending on what I'm seeing. But I'm curious to see if Indiana can run the ball at all. I did have questions about Oregon's run D. They dominated Penn State's offensive line, but Penn State's offensive line has now been dominated in every game. I mean, what Singleton and Allen had 11 or 20 carries for 80, 90 yards last week against UCLA. It's basically the same stat line they had against Oregon. Northwestern had some success running on Oregon. So if Indiana can have some success on the ground, make it easier for Mendoza, have some long grinding drives, take that crowd out of it, I think that'll go a long way. But we'll learn a lot about both teams. I just don't know what to make of that Penn State data point for Oregon. And it was a team that I wasn't super high on. I was wrong about them, but I don't know how wrong I was. All right, let's go to the D block. Bring in Duck here, talk a little FCS. We're going to kick things off with Lehigh. What do you got there?
Yeah, just an exquisite against the spread team all season. But in addition to having an elite level FCS defense, the Lehigh offense has really come to life the last 3 weeks. They've scored 39 points per game during that stretch. Two running backs, Luke Yoder and Jaden Green, are electric. They don't go down after first contact. They're both averaging 7 yards per carry on the ground. Lehigh's got two explosive receivers that can really expose the Columbia secondary. If you look at Columbia, they've played two close games in a row against teams that are not nearly on the same level as Lehigh. This is the week that we will see that Columbia defense show that it is not what it once was in Ivy League play, and their offense is just going to be completely shut down by the Lehigh stop unit, which is allowing just 2.6 yards per carry on the ground and has been absolutely excellent in the red zone this season. Anything under two touchdowns laid here with Lehigh.
All right, and then we're going with the Blue Hose. This will be the first mention of the Blue Hose. Usually the only time I've ever bet Presbyterian is when I'm losing money on them betting in college
Oops.
basketball. But you like Presbyterian here today?
Yeah, you look at Butler in the Pioneer League. They come in 4-2. Two of those wins are over non-Division One opponents, and they have two close Pioneer Football League wins against Marist and St. Thomas. St. Thomas is way, way down from prior years. Presbyterian has two Southern Conference wins to their credit. That rarely happens as the PFL is a non-scholarship level FCS league. The offense is really exceptional for Presbyterian. Quarterback Colin Hurst, 68%, 1,320 passing yards, 15 passing touchdowns. They have two backs that are averaging 7.8 yards per carry on the ground. Zach Switzer is really electric at this level of football and will be a game changer today. The Presbyterian defense, 89 rushing yards per game allowed, 2.9 yards per carry on the ground, elite on third down. I just don't think Butler has the horses to keep up here. Anything under 13, I'm laying it with the Blue Hose. Currently 8.5, 9.5. So go get Presbyterian right now, I would say.
Nobody gets their ground game going on the Blue Hose. Everyone knows that. By the way, you're tying it all back together. You said you like Ball State, and now you're fading Butler. That's where Uramovich came from. So you're
Connect
tying
the
this all
dots.
back together nicely. And you got a bonus total for us. What do you got?
Yeah, Southeast Missouri State on homecoming. They're hosting Tennessee State. The total's 55.5. I think it's a touchdown too high. Southeast Missouri, their first and second string quarterbacks are confirmed out with injury. They also did not play last week. The third stringer and the walk-on split reps against UT Martin, who's way, way down from prior years. They lost 34 to 10. The offense was just super ugly. Couldn't complete a pass. They're going to be run heavy here. Tennessee State has the worst offense in the Ohio Valley Conference. They are also run heavy. Just a slow burning grinder under 55.5. I'd play this all the way to 51.5.
All right, good stuff. And then, Bo, I guess before we go to our final best bets, do you have any comments on uh I think Tom Brady did this before, but this was like in a huge. I remember Tom Brady doing it's happened before, but Cornell punting last night, 3rd and 25 for 30-yard punt. That's was
Yeah, they were going to punt anyway. They ran a third down conversion. They were 5 yards short. They ended up having either a personal foul or some sort of live ball foul, which brought them back 15 yards, maybe offensive pass interference. And you could see in the formation they were trying to sneak it past Harvard so they could improve their field position with no returner back there. And so yeah, just kicked it on 3rd and 25.
but just roll out and throw a Hail Mary, hope to get a PI or something, and if not, it's a punt anyway. That was sad. Anyway, enough Ivy football. All right, let's bring the others back in and get to our final best bets. Colin, what do you got?
I don't understand the LSU South Carolina line. I think it should be around 12 and not below 10. It's the biggest havoc discrepancy on the board this weekend. LSU's top 30 in defensive havoc. South Carolina cannot protect Lenora Sellers. They're 117th in havoc allowed. That means everybody plays behind their line of scrimmage. LSU is mostly powered by PBUs and interceptions, which if Lenora Sellers gets into passing downs, that's going to be a problem also. South Carolina had two straight SEC losses, and they were essentially gifted four turnovers from Kentucky. It just has not been a clean slate of play from them in conference play. Plus, Sellers, I said that there's going to be guys in the backfield. He's had 114 dropbacks. He's had 49 pressures. Like, I mean, 20%, fine. 25%, that's bad. I mean, you're almost at a 50% pressure rate. Pretty insane. And Garrett Nussmeier is not going to be pressured at all. South Carolina 65th in pass rush. I expect the LSU offense to do a little bit better here with a number that's above a touchdown. I would play this all the way up to 10.
Colin's two best bets, trusting the LSU offense to get margin and the Arkansas defense on the road. Bold, I'll give you that. Calabrese, what do you got?
Going with a Mac under Western Michigan, Ball State under 43.5. I'll keep this short and sweet because Duck went through the argument for why Ball State is a live dog in this one. The Broncos offense stinks. They're 131st in offensive success rate. I don't trust them to score more than 24 points in this game. And if it is close, then all of a sudden there's one key element that comes into play. I think Ball State will be able to move the ball 4 and 5 yards at a time in between the 20s. But Western Michigan's red zone defense has been bend but not break this year. They're absolutely elite in red zone defense. I think that's where those drives are going to stall out. And then the snail's pace between both of them. Ball State is the second slowest in the MAC. And Western, if the offense isn't absolutely clicking, they can throttle down and play at a slower pace as well. So I see this being played in the 30s, not the 40s. Give me under 43.5.
And Duck, you're going to give us the last game on the board.
Yep, let's go to the island. Utah State on the money line. I'm still not a believer in this Hawaii offense. Second worst rated offense in the Mountain West per PFF. fourth worst overall passing attack in the conference, just 123rd in offensive EPA, 109th in explosivity on offense, and 114th in finishing drives. Utah State's defensive metrics are a tad skewed this year by going to two SEC road environments, but they've really overperformed on defense against teams to their level of competition. You look at the Hawaii offense, it's just so jerky. They struggle to stack successful plays together. At times they've completely abandoned the run. It is just so atypical of the prototypical run and shoot system that what you think about Hawaii's offense and June Jones running the show with Colt Brennan, Cole McDonald, Bryant Moniz. This is just not it. It is just so jerky. I look at Utah State, they're 12th nationally in rush explosiveness. Miles Davis, their running back, 6.5 yards per carry on the ground this season. The Aggies have three explosive receivers that can stretch the field and score from anywhere. Hawaii's pass defense can give it up here. Last thing, procedurally, Hawaii, 45 accepted penalties against them this season. They're really a heavily penalized group. If you're going to give Utah State freebies, they're going to take advantage. We've got to give Bronco Mendenhall some significant credit here for what he's done. When he got to Logan, the cupboards were bare, and he's completely turned around the attitude of this team. Utah State's going to win this game on the field tonight.
All right, and I'm also going to go in prime time, but a little earlier. I'm going with Auburn. Auburn against Georgia. I think Auburn, I mean, it's a great spot. Auburn coming off a bye here. That'll help them get the timing down, which has been a little bit off, but their run D's been great. I think they can win this game in the trenches on both sides of the ball. The Georgia defense is not the same. They struggle on the back end. They're outside the top 100 in sacks per game. They're not getting that same level of pressure. The offensive line might be shorthanded, missing a couple of starters tonight. The one area where I'm like, all right, Georgia has an advantage is that quarterback, but it's not like Stockton is a first round draft pick. And this is the key for me. Hugh Freeze can be the movie director at home for Jackson Arnold and basically tell him in his ear what to do on each and every play. And this Georgia defense is gettable for what it's worth. Hugh Freeze is elite as an underdog, 33-17 against the spread, 66%. I think he's 18-5 against the spread as an underdog of 7 or less. So against kind of quality competition, that's 75%. But I think him being able to control Arnold off the bye at home, it's Jordan Hare at night. There's going to be weird things that happen in this game. I think it goes right down to the wire. Give me the points. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Duck, Collin, Calabrese, our producer gift from the back end. Most importantly, thanks to all of you for tuning in. 959 Bad Beat. We'll have a recap episode tomorrow. Make sure you call in, yell at me, yell at whoever, yell just about whatever you want. Group of 5 guys, Duck and Calabrese will be back Wednesday. We'll be back Thursday to preview the Week 8 college football slate. It's an amazing slate. Enjoy it. Thanks to DraftKings. Make sure you download the award-winning Action Network app. Good luck on all of your wagers today. We'll see you during the weekend, same time next Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Cheers.